go from 49 in the negative and we climb to 49 in the positive. The 49 in the negative was our trip to Egypt. The Jews in Egypt hit the 49th level of impurity. On Passover night, we get shot up to like the 50th level of total purity, but unearned, a free gift. Everyone, Pesach night. Who felt the surge of experience of godliness on Passover night? Not everyone feels it. You felt it? You felt it? Anyone else felt it? Anyone disappointed because they didn't feel it? Come on, be honest. That's fine. So you should know, I'm a spiritual guy. I have a very strong antenna for spirituality. I was disappointed by Passover, probably my first 10 of them. It's weird. Passover is a little different than other holidays. It takes a while to really get it. So I apologize on behalf of all of Jerusalem if your Passover night wasn't the ultimate. But just know, it's coming. It's coming. You'll get it, and when you get it, you'll be glad you did, and it was worth the wait. Another day that's not so obvious is Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah is not so obvious. It took me years to get Rosh Hashanah. I always got Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is real clear. You can't miss Yom Kippur. Now, the truth is I missed quite a bit of it, but by that last service, full meltdown. Every year, guaranteed I melted down, at least by the last service. Sometimes I melted down by the fourth, by the third, but definitely by the fifth, I was gone. I had lost all resolve and was reduced to a puddle of tears, convulsive crying. So Yom Kippur hits you in the face. Purim, you can't miss Purim. Purim, it's obvious. Hanukkah, it's like you just feel it. There's energy. But for some reason, Rosh Hashanah also takes a taste. Now, Rosh Hashanah for me is just, it's exquisite. It's exquisite. It took me years, but it's exquisite. And Passover is exquisite. It's an exquisite experience. But anyway, back to our subject. That was all in parentheses. Let's get back to our subject, and that is that Passover night is this lunge up to 50, a freebie, free gift, kind of like the free gift you get when you get a sudden connection to somebody. You know how you can have that instant rapport with somebody and just so connect, but then it's gone afterwards. And if you ever want it back, you're going to have to build the real stuff of relationships to get it back. Like Amy, when you get to your chuppah, I bless you to have a beautiful Jewish chuppah with a Jewish man and build a Jewish family. When you get there, it's going to be the most magical experience of your life. In fact, all the holy hippies that'll be there will say, it was so high. Yeah, but they will have no idea how high it was compared to how it was for you. But over the rest of your marriage, you're going to have to build back to it. The difference is that if it rained on your chuppah, so to speak, meaning if something went wrong at the chuppah and it got ruined for some reason, I don't know, but a couple who has been married for years and has made it through their anniversaries. See, us rabbis, we don't celebrate weddings. No offense, Shoshana, when we dance at your wedding, we will be happy and we will look very happy for your videos. But we're not that excited. What excites rabbis is anniversaries.
Should invite you to my anniversary parties.
To get married, Danny, all you need is a pulse. Anniversaries take the real stuff, man. Anniversaries separate the men from the boys, the girls from the women. Yeah? Anniversaries. We're into anniversaries. Especially in these days, oh my gosh. These days, I don't know what you got to be made out of to have, just keep having your anniversaries year after year after year after year. I believe, sometimes I'm too honest, I believe that for the first 20 years of my experience in Jerusalem, the Torah tools were enough. But now I believe that we can't even offer an answer. That we cannot offer an answer. We can certainly set you up about 80% into it, but there's going to be 20% of programming that we're not going to be able to cut through that kind of deep tissue stuff. And if the closer you are to the West Coast, the harder it's going to be. Anyway, back to our program. Did I miss a question? Can I keep going? Pesach's this major leap, and then you get dropped down, not down to negative 49, you get dropped down to 0, and you work your way up, work your way up, work your way up. And right now we're on the 15th day of working our way up. The problem is that no one knows what that means anymore. So we've been relegated to just counting. Any of you in the count? Anyone in the count? Yeah, Moshe's in the count. Very nice. You're in the count. All right. Hey, good for you. Yeah, how old are you? 9, and you're in the count? My 9-year-old's also in the count. She's in the count. I'll show you a picture of her later. No, I won't. My phone's off. Come another day, you'll see a picture of her. Yeah, she's in the count. Don't worry, you'll not be in the count. I mean, I've lost the count as an adult. Yeah, my 16-year-old daughter is out of the count from day one.
I made it today too.
What?
I made it today too.
Excellent. 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 Yeah. Anyway, you can still count. You just don't count with a blessing. So everyone say, today's the 15th day. Do it. You get a mitzvah. Today's the 15th day. You can't get an easier mitzvah than that. Yeah, you should always count. You still get the mitzvah. You just don't make the blessing over it. And by the way, that's a bit of a strict opinion. There is an opinion that you would keep making the blessing, which makes a lot more sense. But we do not hold of that opinion. We hold of a more stringent as usual. Like, nothing can be stringent enough for us, so we have to, like, prevent people from saying things. I remember I found this hippie in the forest. We were mountain biking. I found this hippie in the forest and talking to him about all kinds of Jewish things. Everything I'm saying is just like, wow, wow, wow. And I said, yeah, even right now we're counting the Omer. We're counting the Omer. He had giant dreadlocks, this guy. Giant dreadlocks. He had dreadlocks down to, like, here. He looked like Sigmund the Sea Monster. And we're in the middle of the mountains, like really deep in the wilderness. And so I'm telling him about the counting of the Omer. And I say to him, you know what, you could count now. Today's the 23rd day. You know, why don't you give it a count? He says, well, all right. And I said, now, all you have to do is say this blessing. Okay, Baruch. He says, Baruch, Atah, Atah. And I'm about to say God's name when my partner mountain biking says, stop. I'm like, what is it? He says, you can't make the blessing if you haven't started. Like, he can't start on day 23 with a blessing. And I'm like, come on, man. Give Sigmund the Sea Monster a break, man. The guy, he's never made a blessing in his life. Like, give him a chance. You know, let him make a blessing. You know, 23rd day, so what? You know, let him make the blessing. And so Sigmund's like, yeah, get back to it. Yeah, Baruch. And my friend says, stop. What's the point? He makes a blessing when he's not obligated to make the blessing. And I'm like, I know, but, you know, like, he's just learning. Like, let him make. So we're going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. After a while, I look over to the guy. He's gone. He's gone. We lost him. He just walked away. He's like, and I saw him then, like, 20 feet down the trail, just kind of shaking his head. He's going, what is wrong with these people? You should know, by the way, Sigmund the Sea Monster showed up in Aish Torah the following week. Like, you know, like how everyone kind of, the old city and the Kotel and Aish are kind of like a funnel. No matter where you land in Israel, you eventually get funneled down through here. And so he wound up in my class, and I'm like, Sigmund. And there he was. And he wound up on Lag BaOmer, which we're getting to. That's Lag Lamed Gimel 33 is the 33rd day of the Omer. That's when we're going to, the country, 1/3 Israel, 1/6 of Israel makes a pilgrimage to Miron, to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai's grave, to his tomb. And we do like a 30-hour party there. It's an unbelievable party with live music, many bands. One dance floor, it's 10,000 people. It's the biggest party on earth, actually. I don't think there's a party on earth that hits 700,000-800,000 people. You know, it's one of the biggest parties on earth, and it's 24 hours. It's going to be the time of your life. It's really, really, really fun. And this year it's going to be even bigger because it's not hitting Shabbos. Last year it's been plagued by hitting Shabbos. It's really hard to move people out when they're all running for Shabbos to get out of there. And obviously all the single guys and gals stay. They stay. All the free food and everything keeps going into the butt. But this year, Baruch Hashem, thank God it's Wednesday to Thursday night. And then everyone can find their way home and they won't bombard the bus system. Anyway, but make sure you're all there. Check it out on the schedule. Make sure you're there. Don't miss that. And you got to be there the whole 25 hours. Okay? Don't show up there and just go like, gee, it's really crowded here. Yeah. You will not have a good time. You have to have a very big window to go. And you guys should camp, I think. I would camp with your kids. That's what we did. We camped many years until our tribe got too big for camping. But yeah, we camped. You just bring a little tent and You won't sleep in it. They'll sleep in it. You'll be dancing. Yeah. You dance all night. You don't sleep. You don't need a lodging or anything. Anyway, why am I telling you about this? Oh, because that's when we cut the 3-year-old little boy's hair. We do not cut boys' hair till they're 3. Okay? You let them grow their hair long. Did you ever see a little 3-year-old boy walking around Jerusalem? Because you have great timing, because right now is where you'll see the longest hair. Because all the 3-year-olds, no matter when they were born or turned 3, everyone waits to this day. Now, if he's born 6 months earlier and his birthday's 3rd birthday, his mommy and daddy may decide it's just too much to do. It's a lot of hair, really hard to deal with. I'm not going to go a whole half a year waiting, unless they're really nuts like my wife and I. But they probably won't wait another half a year. They'll bring him up there and do it anyway, at his tomb. They still do it at the tomb, but not necessarily on the day. But everyone else waits. Or if the birthday's a little later, people will cut the hair a little early just to get the day. Anyway, but that's the day we cut the boy's hair. Would you like to know why we let boys' hair grow till they're 3? You want to know why? The reason is because Judaism is very age appropriate. It believes that everyone should be acting their age. And so whatever your age is at a given time is how you'll be treated. So if you're not 3 yet, you're a wild animal. And cutting a kid's hair and putting him in a little suit, and I know it looks cute and everything, and they look all, prepped up, for life, even though they're 2.5 with a little bow tie or something. It's not age reality there. The kid's nuts. Yeah, the kid's crazy. Yeah, 2.5-year-old boys are. You ever met a 2.5-year-old boy? They're crazy. Okay, my boy yesterday, I was in the middle of my meal. The place is packed. People lining the table. I got a big table. Lots of people come every week for a 3rd meal. The kid just decides to dive bomb onto my strimal, like a flying bat, onto my strimal. You know what a strimal is? The fur hat, the round fur hat, the big, pizza, deep dish. And kid goes for an airdrop onto my strimal and just grabs it and takes off. Anyway, they're crazy, and so we don't treat them otherwise. We let them grow their hair nice and long. There's no making them into something they're not. As they grow up, we also keep them quite wild. 3-year-old boys start school at 3. You bring them into school at 3 years old. And I remember going to it was around 3.5, I went to a school because he forgot his sandwich. I brought his sandwich, and I go to the classroom, there's no one there. So I go out in the playground, there they are. So I find my kid, I bring him the sandwich, give it to this Rabbi who's watching the kids go berserk. And I'm like, why don't you stop these kids? They're killing each other. He says, kids. Came back a couple weeks later to bring him something else. Go in the classroom, it's a different time of day. Guess what? No one's there, they're out in the playground. Came another time, out in the playground. I finally go to the Rabbi, I say, I'm paying you to teach my kids some alphabet. But every time I come here, he's out climbing the jungle gym. He says, he's 3 years old, what do you want? You understand? So is he in school, is he not in school? I come back a year later, and they were mostly on the playground, but a little more in class. Then a year later, they're still not where kids start. Kids start at 5, first grade. So then I come back the 5th, when he was 5 years old, and then I saw there's a little more class time going on here. But you want to hear something amazing? Want to hear something amazing? My kids have studied, they study in big schools with hundreds and hundreds of kids. No ADD. No ADD. They do the opposite of Western education. See, in Western education, they expect everyone to sit tight and listen. Those who are good at that have a good time. Those who aren't, which is most 5-year-old boys, have a rough time. And so they beat them into shape, basically, or mold them if beating's forbidden. And then eventually they call them ill and medicate them. The ones who are more on the other side of the spectrum of wild. What they do in our schools here in Jerusalem is they bore the hell out of the good kid. For the first many years, he is bored because he doesn't want to play anymore. He wants to learn. But no, learning's not available. Now it's play school. And they play and they play and they play and they play hard. And there's not a lot of rules. And they play and they play and they play. And they slowly draw in the whole group until everyone's in, until they're studying. I can't even express to you the hours. By the time my kid was 13 and a half, 14, he was studying. He left the house at 7:30 in the morning. Sorry, 7:15 in the morning. And I have a 12-year-old. He leaves at 7:15 in the morning, and he gets. Oh, I'm talking about history. The kid left this morning. He's 12. He's 7:15 in the morning. He leaves, and he gets back at night at 7:30. In the winter, well after dark. In the summer, right before dark. 7:30 at night. How many hours has he gone, approximately? 12. He's got 12 hours. In his whole class. And you know how much break there is? Very, very little. There's like 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, half hour for lunch. And the whole class is in. Not every kid's as smart as every kid, but they can all sit and learn. You know. So we've got the patent on education here. For kids, for us adults, who knows what's going to happen to us. But it's going to take tremendous fortitude for you to become a Torah scholar. It's going to take everything you got. But you should do it. Your child should have a father who knows how to learn Torah. Ain't that right, Josh? He deserves it. Okay, he'll never be on his level. Every one of you men will be passed up by your kid by the time he's 8. But he should at least be able to teach you something. And you should have the vocabulary, you know, to have your son teach you a little Torah. I can tell you, though, as a scholar, I'm a Torah scholar. I'm embarrassed and ashamed in front of my kids when I learn with them because they know so much more, and I'm a scholar. But they were dipped in it, you know. They were dipped in it from birth, you know. Okay, back to our subject. So we're moving our way through the Omer. Most people have no idea what we're counting. Today's the 15th day, but we don't know what that means exactly. If I can go Kabbalistic for a second, we would have 49 levels of lack of light. You get Passover night where you get 50 levels of light, blinding light that, of course, none of us can really perceive, but blinding light. And then what happens is you get that same light that now moves through a prism of 7 times 7, 7 weeks. But each week is its own color, so to speak, where the light's going to shine through that color. And each day, if you will, like kind of a, I don't know, as if you had a little turn thing with 7 colors on it. But there's a main color of that week. Let's say this week is, the first week was chesed. Let's say that would be blue, like water is chesed. So that would be blue. Okay? And then right now, this is the week of Tiferes, so I would give it a purple probably. Tiferes would probably be purple. And, you know, like royal type purple. I don't mean, you know, jelly bean purple. It's the same, but like kind of royalty. Like the velvet that would be between the crown, you know, things. That's Tiferet. And we're in Tiferet right now. And I would give that purple. Today is Chesed Shebit Tiferet. Okay, the 15th day is Chesed Shebit Tiferet. And, which makes sense because it's the 15th day. We've had 2 counts of 7, Chesed, Gevurah, and now today's the first of the next count of 7. 15 is 14 plus 1. So we're in the 3rd week, which would be purple, and the shade that light of God would be shining through would be blue. And tonight I'm going to speak a bit about my speaking engagement tonight in Nachloot on Beersheba Street is going to be on Gevurah, the 2nd day. Gevurah, Shebit Tiferet. Gevurah within Tiferet, so it'll be red on a purple backdrop. And the light's going to shine through them, and I don't know what red and purple give, but what?
Brown?
Eek. Anyway, whatever. But obviously, we're not discussing color. I'm just making that up for your visualization. Today's blue Shebit Tiferet. I'm sorry, Chesed Shebit Tiferet. Now, each of those weeks that are these prisms are Kabbalistic builders that we're doing. The first week is all about how you relate to flow, like how you relate to just flowing. Like, for example, the way I ride my mountain bike is more acceleration and less brakes. I really just, it's got 6 inches of suspension front and back, and I've ridden many years, and I can just like let it go. I hit my brakes for like pedestrians. That's it. And even for pedestrians, only on a need basis. I feel bad for frightening people, but not so bad. Anyway, I mean, if I really frighten someone, but sometimes they're just idiots. And I always wonder, am I going to be busted upstairs when they're idiots? For sure, frightening a person who's just walking down the street, that's not nice, and I apologize and try to get their forgiveness. But when the guy's just an idiot, I don't know, he's like, he's texting with music blasting in his ears, and you can see he's lost all instincts for externals. All instincts for externals. And he's walking briskly and suddenly turns around and goes the other way, right as I'm shooting by. Yeah, I didn't hit him, but believe me, he got a fright. Now, am I busted for that guy? What do you say? All in favor, I'm busted. Raise your hand.
That's like everyone in Israel.
I know. All in favor of not busted. It says this time it's on him. What do you say? On him? I don't know what to do about these guys. I don't want to like have to come back to earth because of my mountain biking tactics. You know, you realize if you blow it down here, you got to come back. And one trip, you know. I mean, we've all been on many trips, but you can tell like it's rough. You know, pretty rough. So it's all about flow. It's all about flow. The first week's all about flow and how you flow with people. Are you someone who governs your interactions, or are you someone who just, you know, does that ADHD, you know, let it all hang out? You know, are you someone who you know, lets it ride in the risks of business and stuff like that? That's all chesed. That's all letting it flow. That's the first week of how you deal with flow. Okay, and there can be all kinds of aspects of your life. Again, it could be a lead foot in driving a car. It could be being overly forward with people in relationships, meaning not putting on the brakes properly to respect people's space or emotional space when it comes to relationships. Okay, that would be all. That's flow. You know, cranking your volume louder than is necessary on your music. That's bothering other people. And there's so many aspects to it. Blowing off your schedule and letting others suffer the consequences of you not being where you said you'd be. That's all aspects of chesed. So we're working on that. We worked on that. That was the first week. Raise your hands if you worked on that the first week. Nobody. You did? Okay, you worked on that. Okay. Week two is the brakes. That's the brakes. Okay? And week 2 is Gevura. Gevura is the brakes. That's the red. Okay, the color red. And the brakes are how you deal with braking. Because a lot of people over-brake. You see the way strangers interact. In Jerusalem's, I'd give it a medium. LA, I'd give it like a very, very high score for interaction. Okay, people are overly friendly. I mean, you almost get worried that the guy's burying people in his backyard or something over there, but they get a high score. They get a high score. Brooklyn gets a fairly low score of human interaction on this. Some guy just told me he picked up a guy from Brooklyn hitchhiking. He like almost pushed his way into the back seat of the car. So he's in the back seat of the car, and the guy's trying to be friendly, so the driver, my friend, said, "So what's your name?" He says, "You don't need to know my name." So he's just like, "I guess I just better mind my own business, you know, in my own car. You don't need to know my name." It's true. He doesn't need to know his name. He could just drive him. Anyway, they got a bit of a low score on that. Anyway, but the number 2, week 2 is all about the brakes. You know, are you over braking in your relationships? It's okay if you are. It means you've been hurt. Anyone who's been hurt is going to over brake. Okay, anyone who's been hurt before, they've had their borders breached. Their borders breached, which can happen in any kind of way. It can happen obviously in ways that are illegal or forbidden. They can have them breached in just I could have one of these kind of thrashy Jewish moms who like just needs every detail, and you just always feel like you're being nitpicked and henpecked, and you got like, she's like your shrink or something. Can't keep anything to yourself. But growing up with that over years can create, you can start going into being much more, what's the word I'm looking for? Guarded in your relationships. But if you're guarded in relationships, there is no relationship. Think about it. You ever try to strike up a relationship with someone who's guarded?
Doesn't work very well.
It does not work very well. And that's the second week. The second week is all about your brakes. Where are your brakes at? The first week was about your accelerator. How do you move forward in life? The other ones, where's your braking? Where do you put the brakes on? And to make sure that you're putting them on appropriately. In every situation, there's going to be different appropriateness. I have an appropriate relationship to this guy who's my student, who's still at Aish, which is beautiful. I'm so happy you're here. And I can even tap him on the hand like that. I ain't tapping Shoshana on the hand like that, I'll tell you that. Totally different setup here. Also a student, also really glad you're still hanging around. Yeah, very happy. But you understand, okay? There's going to be different breaks. And so we have to have appropriate breaks in our lives. If you have the appropriate breaks, you're going to be in really good shape. Not appropriate breaks, you're going to be in trouble a lot. You got to have those appropriate breaks. You got to be careful to use them when they're right, and be really careful of overusing them because of different, as I said before, breaches in history, especially as a child. If you were overbreached as a child in your space, your own personal space, whether it's emotional, physical, you'll find yourself overbreaking in life. And obviously that can hamper marriage, because marriage is just the total lack of breaks. It's the scariest of just letting your heart be held. And that person may squeeze all the blood out of it, and that person may just hold it and care for it. And that will be their choice. It's one of the scariest frontiers of the world. Anyone can make it single, but to give your heart to someone and let them hold it, it is the most complex thing in the world. And as I said before, I don't believe we even offer the tools at this point, besides maybe 80% of what's necessary. The rest, I think you'd need much more specialized based on the individual of what would be necessary to be a successfully married person and parent. Asia Torah itself for decades was 0 divorces in our staff, both current and past. 0 divorces. We're still only on, I could count them all on one hand in over 30 years. That's not normal. I'm talking about hundreds and hundreds of people, probably in the thousands. No divorces. Let's deal with that. That's not possible. But yet, what we got going on over here. But I do not expect that statistic to last anymore. Those were the days. I think we already have our first divorced guy in Colo. So it's like, what in the world? How'd that happen? So Tiferet. So now this week, the third week is Tiferet, and Tiferet is this week's all about having that perfect balance. Now, in the end, we've really been discussing that balance, but what you want to do this week is really be balanced. So, for example, today is Chesed, should be Tiferet. And Chesed should be Tiferet. What's that? Loving kindness, very good. Chesed should be Tiferet this week, this day, Chesed should be Tiferet, would be to be remember Chesed's flow. So you'd want to be doing acts of beauty today. This would be the day to say hi to a stranger on the street. Okay, because it's Jerusalem, you might want to try that being your own gender. But saying hi to people on the street, but do it after class today before dark, because you'll be done with this day's thing. This is the day to thank the parking attendant, strike up a conversation, which I did. I had to park in Tel Aviv today. And this elderly man, really old country, old school, that accent gentleman from our parents' generation. Speaking to these two guys, you got that thick European accent. And here was this old Tel Aviv guy in a little cap. He wanted to talk a little bit, and I just parked next to him and talked for a while. No one was behind me. And asked him even for directions, even though I had Waze up. You know, Waze was ready to go. You know, I was like, my car had honed in on my home in Jerusalem. But I nevertheless let him explain. He was like, then you turn right, and then you turn left, and then you turn right, literally. Then you turn left, and then you turn right, and then you turn left. It was like, my head was spinning. And the funny thing is, when I followed Waze, it was exactly, he did it exact. It was like right, left, right, left, right, left, and then I got there. Anyway, so you'd want to be just exercising that flow and brakes, but creating that exact balance, but pushing it. Remember, today's acceleration, today's chesed. So you would want to be pushing that out there today. You want to really go for it. Really go for it. Tonight is when you want to protect it. Tonight's when you want to protect that balance. So tonight, as sundown falls, you get to Gavur. Gavur is the brakes. And what you're going to be doing is saying that you'll be doing that same aspect of Tiferet, only you'll be in protection mode. You'll be in protection mode, where you'll be, starting tonight, you want to be highly interactive. This whole week you should be highly interactive, you know, really interacting with God, interacting with others. But, for example, tonight you want to be highly interactive with God, and all tomorrow. But something might come up that's forbidden. Something might come up that's forbidden. I don't know what would be. You're going for a drink with someone, and they're just dying for oysters. And they want to go to a place. It's rare to find such a place, but there are a few places that would sell shellfish in Jerusalem, sadly, but there are a few. And now you're just being all interactive. You're like, Rabbi Glaser said, be all interactive and totally interacting. And then you get to the door of the shellfish place, and you're just like, hey, man, today's Gavur Shabbat Tiferes. And of course, anyone who eats oysters will have no idea what you're talking about. So he's like, it's what? Yeah, it's Gavur Shabbat Tiferes. He says like, that's nice. You know, I'm not going in there. I'm not going in there because I'm also interacting with God. God's also an interaction. You're doing it all day. I mean, of course, we're out to lunch about it, but when you get to the door of the oyster restaurant, that's where you put on the brakes and you say, okay, I'll be all interactive with you until here. But, you know, my preference, we go eat somewhere else because I'm not walking in there. God doesn't want me in there. I'm forbidden to eat oysters, and I don't think I should really be showing up there with my kippah or my tzitzis or my tznius clothing. I don't know if that's really a great example for me to be sitting in there, and not to mention watching people suck down oysters without saying anything. Because in Judaism, it's forbidden to witness a transgression without saying something. It's forbidden. Who knows the exception? Yeah.
Just a guess. If a person just started on the way to Baal Shul, or you can give this person
that,
otherwise...
right, that might be a great example. But the other is a little more of a blanket one, is if they won't listen. If they're not going to listen to you, save your breath. Because chances are they don't even know this is wrong. And you're about to let them know, and they're not going to be strong enough to not do it. So you're going to turn someone who was accidentally transgressing to purposefully transgressing. I mean, imagine telling someone who didn't know it was Shabbat. You know, I don't know, you're walking down Pacific Coast Highway, and where I just spent the last month on Pacific Coast Highway in California. This guy pulls up in a, I don't know, Maserati convertible, you know, and you just hear this engine, wah, wah, wah. And you look at the guy and you're like, that guy's a yid, man. That guy's a yid. And you're just trying to walk to Chabad or something, you know, down Pacific Coast Highway. You're going to tell this guy he's not allowed to drive his Maserati because it's the Sabbath? Bad idea.
Ask him for a ride.
Yeah, ask for a ride. Yeah, I'm probably offering a ride. And he sees a yid walking down the street. Anyway, you're going to turn him from an accidental sinner to a, what? To a wanton sinner.
But what if someone knows and they don't care? You still say
Yeah, also you're not allowed to say anything. If they will not listen, you don't say. How do you know if they'll listen? There were rabbis who said a generation ago, they said that we live, this is a generation ago, that things have gotten so bad that it's come to the point where you can't say anything to anyone, no matter what. Just save your breath. It's forbidden to fulfill this command. It's one of the 613. You want to do it. I always think, at least in shul, you're in synagogue. You find this guy wearing his tefillin on his forehead. You know, he thinks it's like a, I don't know what, you know, he thinks he's a rhinoceros, or he put his tefillin on his forehead, so it's shooting straight out of his forehead. That's not wearing tefillin. The blessing's in vain, and every minute he thinks he's doing a mitzvah, he's not. And he's got his tefillin on his forehead. The tefillin must be over the cerebral cortex on that little hole there. It's called the fontanelle in English, which is cool, because fountain means fountain, and Aleph Lamed, fontanelle, the fountain of God. Yeah, it's got to be over that, not on the forehead. What do you think? You should tell someone in synagogue that he's wearing his tefillin wrong? What do you say? And the poor guy, he's going to go upstairs expecting to collect on this commandment. And God's just like, I'll give you the arm tefillin. The head, forget it. You never put it on. What do you mean I never put it on? Here's a picture of me at the Kotel. Not on the forehead, man. Doesn't work. No foreheads. Say something, don't say something. I'll tell you, I'm crazy. I do tell people. I'm also extremely diplomatic. So I'm usually good at being able to tell people. I've told people, I'd say 50% of the time they looked at me and like, don't you tell me how to wear my tefillin. 50%. The other 50% were like, oh, thank you very much. And then went on not having made it different, you know, not having moved it. And once in a blue moon, a guy's like, oh, okay. You know? And I've even like, maybe once or twice in all my years, fixed the straps. Because if he puts it up here, now the strap's going to go below the bone. The bone, it has to be on this back bone here. So the strap's going to be down there if he puts it where it belongs. Because it's been set up for him in the wrong way. But once or twice, I've set it up. Am I teaching at 4? That's amazing. Everyone have a wonderful day.